Okay, well here we are taking a look at another Meccano airplane, or Dinky Toy Aeroplane. Here we have a Meccano magazine from 1939, yeah. Okay, and the toy we're going to look at is the Dinky Toy 60T. It's the DC3 or the DC2. It was made from 38 to 41. And let's see, all these good things lucky boys could get. There's some hurricanes. And over here, Dinky Toys. Yeah, this is the Dinky Toys you want. And over here we see, up here, there it is, the DC2 or the DC3. So that's definitely the model. Sort of a boring model. You know, young boys want bombers and fighters and so on. But yeah, you know, bizarre aircraft like that. So what we have though is, why did Dinky do that? Well, over here we see a flying magazine from the same sort of era, 34. And this is the magazine that covers the England to Australia race, which was a big deal at the time, for sure. And this is the race number. Covers the route and its alternatives. There's some people who competed. The route, some of the route. And over here, anyway, here are all the people who entered the air race. And you can see it's a big deal because there's Varney here, there's Kingsford Smith, Jackie Cochran, Wiley Post who's in here too. But the key thing is the actual winners over here were, let's see, the two up here. There's, yeah. But the key thing is here, the second one, the people who came in second, were actually KLM, and they just put a regular passenger plane into the race, the DC2, and it came in second. So it was carrying passengers too on a more or less regular run. So all those super prepared super racers and almost hit by a regular passenger flight. So it's pretty clear at that point the long distance air travel had changed. And the actual, oops, there's another interesting toy. And the actual plane, there's PHALI, and here's the Dinky Toy, PHALI. Now, that's sort of interesting too, in a lesser known way, is that PHALI was a real plane, obviously, there's the picture of it, and most of these KLM planes went over to England when the war started and then managed to escape. But anyway, this flight here, PHALI, was later in the war shot down on June 1st, 1943, the Bay of Biscay, by, let's see, 8 Ju-88s. But the deaths included Leslie Howard, and he was a famous British actor at the time. He played Ashley Wilkes in Gone with the Wind, and he played Mitchell, the designer of the Spitfire fighter, in First of the Few. So that's an interesting little connection there. But here's the actual plane itself. Very simple plane. And there are only two variants that we're sort of aware of. The two variants are this one, and the main difference is it's got a tail wheel. But that one doesn't have a tail wheel. It's fallen off. We should find one with a tail wheel. There's one with a tail wheel. It's also got this little hook in the top. That's for what they call the gliding game. That would actually be used here. Here's one of the boxes. PHALI. There's that little tail wheel. And the gliding game was recommended by Dinky. Came with a little sheet, how to do it. Basically, hook a string or a thread, and then you just let the plane come down. Crashed into the far wall, and you needed to buy a new one. So, but anyway, it looks like an interesting game. So anyway, the difference is now, here's the one that's different. There's no tail wheel, it's just solid. But you might ask, what is this abomination? I mean, this plane, it looks weirdly gimped And that is metal fatigue. What happens is the alloy is poisoned and it recrystallizes over time. And it actually expands the whole darn thing. So this metal fatigue 1 is considerably bigger. It's just expanded. So metal fatigue was a real problem with Dinky toys. And a lot of other toys of that era. The alloy would get poisoned and then it would recrystallize and just fall apart. Basically it's scrap. Scrap lead, scrap metal went into the melting pot and it poisoned the alloy. So you hear stories of a quiet Dinky collector sitting in his library, surrounded by his toys, reflecting, counting his medals perhaps, when he hears a mark ping, and a piece of toy hits the wall. So some tensions can build up in the metal as it recrystallizes. Not a good thing. And yeah, I sort of see it being an issue. This pile of dust used to be a valuable Dinky toy. I love it. That makes as much sense really as keeping Grandpa's ashes on the mantelpiece. Nice, but a lot of the original charm is gone. So there's a lot of reasons these Dinky toys are so rare. The play breakage, wartime metal drives, and fatigue too. During the war, Dinky went from toy production to military work and learned a lot about alloy quality. So I'll leave a couple of links in the comments to follow up on some of this. The other interesting aspect is perhaps the boxes. There's 2 types. This type here tells you all about the toy. And then this type here. You can see the difference. One says 60T. And down here you can actually read it was printed in May of 1939. 13,000 copies were made at the printer. Here's another box here. This one is interesting because some previous collector, I guess, had a block 220 Dinky toy stored in that box. But anyway, that's it. Just a nice, simple toy of the future of aviation at the time. When you compare it to the other wooden models and the other strange special racers, it just worked. And they're still around today. And here's the darn metal fatigue, which I would say absolutely gimps things. Another example of metal fatigue here. I just happen to have this here. Here's some other planes. This one here, perfect paint. It's like new, untouched, unplayed with. Just falling apart due to the metal fatigue. Here's what used to be a Hurricane with its bits. As I say, a lot of the original charm was gone. Anyway, that's an interesting little sidelight of the planes. Oh yeah, here's just one last little write-up. Maybe I just put it on the screen. You can read it later if you pause the video. It just tells about the actual downing of the plane and Leslie Howard going. So anyway, hope you enjoy that. We'll try and find out more things to do. Thanks.